You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
Welcome to Smart Sex, Smart Love, where talking about sex goes beyond the taboos and talking about love goes beyond the honeymoon. I'm Dr. Joe Court. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Smart Sex, Smart Love. I'm Dr. Joe Court, and today the title of our podcast is Why Are Men Stigmatized and Women Fetishized When It Comes to How They Maintain Their Appearance? This is actually a personal show for me as well. Recently, I've been making a series of short videos on TikTok challenging some of the myths about men's sexuality, what brings us pleasure, and about masculinity in general. To my surprise, I began getting comments, not about the topics themselves, but about my hair. And let me just say my hair piece. So I'm pretty much a bald guy, and I've been wearing hair since I was 27 years old, so 30 years. And I began to wonder, what motivated comments like this to make such personal attacks on me? What does it say about them? But more importantly, what does it say about our culture's unconscious assumptions and prejudices surrounding masculinity? When I considered getting a hairpiece, I wasn't thinking about all this. I just really didn't like the way I looked with no hair. I was known Joey Court in high school who walked through the halls and his hair bounced, and I loved my hair. I thought it framed my face nicely. And it was a vanity thing. It really was. I don't have anything against people who want to be bald, look bald, appear bald, but I don't want that. That's not how I see myself or wanted to see myself. So when I began to make more money and I could invest in a hairpiece, I did that. And I was 27 and I never regretted this and I never looked back. When I started getting the hairpiece shaming comments on TikTok, I decided to make some videos of the process I must go through in order to don my hairpiece, adhesive and all, a sort of coming out of the baldness closet, as if I haven't came out most of the other closets. I wanted to show what lack of shame around wearing a hairpiece looks like. Today, we're going to be talking to the owner of the place I've gone to for 30 years, Scott. Scott is the owner of Shearpoint Hair Restoration Center, a recognized leader in multi-therapeutic hair restoration for those suffering from the devastating effects of various types of hair loss. They are dedicated to providing custom-tailored, totally undetectable, proven hair loss solutions for men, women, and children in a comfortable, discreet, private environment. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you very much, Joe, for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you, and I want to make sure they know your full name, Scott McCarty. And when I got my first hairpiece, it was your dad that I was introduced to, and then you took over the business. Is that what happened?
Yes, my father, Bill McCarty, started the company back in 1969. I grew up in the business, so basically it's all I know. It's all I've ever done. Our family vacations were always based upon conventions and visiting other hair replacement centers and manufacturing facilities and things of that nature. So I've been doing this a long time.
And I think you do it well. And for the most part, people, and so what people don't know about me, especially on TikTok, because, I'm sort of just this person who is new to TikTok and I'm talking about stuff. They think I'm trying to hide it. I'm secretive. People who know me personally and professionally know I am very open. I am very out. I always wear it. I'm not like Sean, what was his name? He did the James Bond movies.
Sean Connery, yes.
Sean Connery, right. He would wear it sometimes and not wear it. Now John Travolta, who wore hair for years, is now going around bald. And they feel comfortable doing that. That's just not comfortable for me. I like how I look, as I said, when I wear my hair. But I think what happens is I'm saying things on TikTok that are making people super uncomfortable. And so for whatever reason, whatever it's provoking in them, and then they can tell I'm wearing a hair system because they know what to look for. I can tell too. I know what celebrities, I'm not going to say who aren't out, but I can tell. I can tell when someone's walking around and people think, well, you can always tell. You can only tell when it's not a well-made one. And I feel like I have a well-made one, but try as you might, it's always going to be able to be seen if somebody knows what they're looking for. What would you say to that, Scott?
It's amazing, Joe. Thank you for asking me, by the way. We have the ability to make hair look so natural these days to where you can actually put it under a microscope and you cannot tell the difference between a bio hair and a replaced hair. That being said, a lot of it boils down to how a person chooses to wear their hair and if they're wearing, let's say, a good balance of hair. Meaning that the hair on the top of their head matches the hair on the sides, or the right color for the top matching the sides, or if it's maintained well. If somebody, and I'm not saying that you do this because you don't, you look great. But some people, just think that, all right, I'm just going to get out of bed and my hair is going to look beautiful, like,
Right.
some of the movie stars, and that's just not reality. But as I had mentioned, we can get it to look so natural to where you can slick your hair back, you can part your hair, you can run your fingers through your hair. Somebody else can run their fingers through your hair and they can't tell. So it can happen.
And I'm glad that you're here to tell people, and and they could even meet with you and try things on and see how things look, because people don't understand, and men usually don't have permission to do that. We're not supposed to be vain, right? It's like somehow it's a sign of weakness, but we don't think about this with women. We understand they're wearing wigs, they're wearing makeup, they're wearing fake eyelashes and fingernails, and maybe get breast implants, whatever they do, and they can walk around like this. But if a man doesn't go around naturally, then his masculinity is in question. And that's what's so disturbing to me. Do you have men talk about this at all to different degrees, Scott?
Yes, they do, Joe, and thank you for asking. I'm not an expert in these matters as far as why, but we are definitely not playing on an even playing field. Enhanced female beauty is a multi-billion-dollar industry with cosmetics and cosmetic surgery alone. This does not even include the fashion and personal service industries, which would include skin, nails, and hair. As mentioned, why it's all right for women to enhance their beauty and why it's not all right for men, I don't know the answer to that. But it's definitely something that's been going on in society for a long, long time.
Right. And nobody would go up to a woman. Like, I've got people come up to me and, oh, don't you love yourself? Oh, what's going on with yourself? What happened to you as a little boy? Goodness, people would say that to a woman. Oh, you're wearing makeup? Were you traumatized as a little girl? What happened to what you want to wear a wig? It's like, it's such a shaming, like there's something wrong. And I thought this was going to change with the metrosexual, that word where guys take better care of themselves. And I guess it went as far as it was okay as long as it was naturally taking care of yourself. But if you want to enhance yourself with something that isn't natural, then it's not okay. And then the other news about that is my hair is natural, right? This is human hair I'm wearing.
Yes, it is natural. I think the only thing that really came out of the whole metrosexual thing is that we're allowed to pluck our eyebrows now.
Which I don't even do.
But, if you remember back in high school, there were the kids that thought that they were, better than the rest of us. And they shamed others to make themselves feel better. And it's unfortunate that some people just haven't outgrown that.
I'm telling you, it completely changed my life. So I started losing my hair in college, freshman year, and nobody believed me, but I could see it going. And then I was almost a cue ball by the time I was 27. And really, I was on a trip in Florida and my head burned in the back of my head and it hurt so bad. And I realized I have no hair there. I had to really admit this, and I never liked how it looked. So when I came to your place and we put the hair, and I remember your father saying to me, no one's going to notice when you walk in on Monday. I left bald on Friday. I said to him, it's impossible. But I did shave my beard. I had a beard at the time. I shaved it. And I walked into work the next day on Monday, and people were like, did you get a haircut? Did you shave? They couldn't figure out what was different. Why is that?
So, the emphasis people put on trying to pick on one another as far as, oh, your hair's getting thin. Oh, you're losing your hair. Oh, you're balding. You look like your father or worse. The reality is that if you do it early enough, if the transformation is not going from being skinhead bald to having hair, if the transformation is going from having hair to a little more hair, then people don't pick up on it. It doesn't register. I can give you a personal experience where one of my uncle's best friends knew that he was losing his hair. He came to us without telling my uncle. A childhood friend had his hair replaced, and then I ended up seeing my uncle meeting his friend for the first time after having his hair replaced. And my uncle, who knows what type of business my father and I are into, had no idea that he had his hair replaced. He was saying things exactly like what people were telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you lose weight? Are you working out? You look great. Something, did you shave? I can't put my finger on it, but you look a whole lot better.
I'll tell you what else happened to me. So I'm, as a gay man, right, I go to gay bars, and when your hair is thinning, I know that I didn't look as good as without hair. So a lot of gay men also gave me that energy, and I was hardly looked at when I'd go to the bars. I got some looks, but not as much as the weeks I went after I got that hair, and I went into the bar, and the same guys that would not look at me started talking to me, coming on to me, buying me drinks, and I was too embarrassed at the time to say anything, but I was thinking, go fuck yourself. Last time I was here, you didn't even think about me. Today, it reminded me of that movie, and some people listening to this may be too young. It was Joan Rivers and Stockard Chaney. Joan Rivers directed it, produced it. It was called The Girl Most Likely To. And she was always told how ugly she was. She has a bad car accident, and they do plastic surgery, and now she's beautiful. And it's a dark comedy because she goes back and kills all the people that I didn't want to do that, but I did feel like, fuck you, that I'm glad that I wore the hair, but I guess it's a double standard in my own head about what I was thinking. I knew I looked better, but I just felt angry that these guys, it was so extreme, but it did feel good. I'm not going to lie. It's like it changed my life. Do men say that to you?
Exactly. And it's not just men saying that to me. There's been numerous TV shows, documentaries, things of that nature. I remember one in particular. I think it might have been 2020 or one of the news channels where they had done an interview with a couple of guys who had lost their hair and filmed them in a bar. And they had the exact same experience. They, these were straight guys, but they had the exact same experience. Girls wouldn't come up to them. They had a hard time meeting anybody. And then all of a sudden, they had their hair replaced. They went back to the same bar. And all of a sudden, it was a complete flip of the coin. Girls were coming up to them and talking to them. It was an amazing transformation for them as well as you.
What story of men stands out most for you that you feel like most touched by or struck by? Is there a story or stories?
There's been many, many stories, and we all have our journeys and our own paths. And some of them are more traumatic than others. And there's been more than one time where I've had somebody look me square in the eye with a tear in their eye and say, thank you, Scott. I don't know what I would have done had you not been able to help me. I might not even be here today if it wasn't for what you and your team at SheerPoint were able to do. And I don't take that lightly. That's some pretty serious stuff. And I'm glad to be able to be able to serve in that fashion.
It's really, really great. And I want this podcast. I'm going to write an article about this. I'm going to do a couple of videos on TikTok and show the process of me getting hair at your place. But I want to take away the stigma. I feel like it should not be any big deal to come out and be able to say that you wear a hair system. And the other way we stigmatize males is we can't call it a wig. Well, and I really don't like it called a wig. When my niece was in kindergarten many years ago, I went and visited her. It was a surprise visitor for kindergartners, and it was her day to have somebody come. And it was great. I spent an hour there, and I left. And the teacher said after I left, she said, Zoe said to everybody, my uncle wears a wig. And everybody laughed, right? Well, I could care less that she did that. But, like we can't call it a wig. We got to call it a hair system. We got to call it a hairpiece. Even toupee has gotten negative feedback. Do you know why that is?
I would say it's because of the negative connotations associated with with movies and TV. In the past, the stars of stage and screen have made fun of hair pieces, wigs, toupees. How many movies are there where it goes flying off in the wind just to get a quick chuckle?
Yes.
And I think that's probably why. I believe that that's starting to turn around. And I think some of that reason is because people like yourself are being able to come out into the open and say, hey, this is all right to do. It looks great. It feels great. I love what it is that I'm doing. And I think also part of it is the fact that the stars of stage and screen nowadays are held to a higher standard, and they can no longer sport the thick locks that they're expected to have. And so the majority of those stars do have some type of hairpiece, wig, toupee, hair extensions, hair weave, what have you. And so it's kind of hard to make fun of something when your leading man or leading woman is actually wearing it.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And as you were talking, I was thinking about how in the 90s, there was a show called Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. And they did one makeover. They would make over straight men. And one of them was a guy who wore a hairpiece. And I thought it was fine. And they didn't like it. The guys were like, no. And they ended up burning it on the barbecue in the backyard. It was for comedic relief, I guess. And then he was now bald and it was all good. But that implies that people who wear hairpieces are ashamed. I am not ashamed. There was a Family Guy episode where Quagmire is at a sporting event and a high wind lifts up his hairpiece. It's a cartoon. And then they're all talking about it and he starts walking around bald. The message is you should be natural as a man and unnatural as a woman. That's how it feels.
That's exactly the way we're pigeonholed in society. Women, it's much more acceptable to do something like you had mentioned, whether it be makeup, cosmetic surgery, breast implants, tummy tucks, what have you. And that's looked at as an okay thing to do. Whereas if we as men do anything, that it's not okay, but yet we still want attention too. We still want to feel loved, and we still want to feel attractive. We still want to feel sexy. We want to feel wanted. And so there's this controversy within us as far as, okay, I can do this, but I can't do that. I can do this, but I don't really want to tell anybody that I'm doing this. But in the end, if it makes you feel better, makes you look better, gets the results you want, why wouldn't you do it?
Exactly. Have you had, I've read several articles that say men with hair get more job opportunities than men who are bald. I have no idea if that's true. Have you ever heard that?
Men with hair have better job opportunities. It boils down to several studies that were done by Dr. Thomas Cash, and where it just plainly states that better looking people get better jobs. They get better opportunities. They get higher pay. People are more willing to come up and talk with them. They are perceived as being smarter. They're perceived as being wealthier. They're perceived as being more loved. Mm. And it's not the case, but that's the way the perception is.
Yeah, and I guess that in our culture, and people, I guess, could say that this happened to me. I really don't feel it did. I knew that I liked my hair before I knew that hair was important. I was a kid. I was a teenager, and I loved blow drying my hair, putting henna rinses in it. If I'd kept my hair, I would have done all kinds of crazy stuff with it, and it would have been fun. And so it's just so personal. And, there's a lot of people will say, well, women will say this, men age gracefully and women don't. I think that's bullshit. Men don't always age gracefully. We have to do this. If we want to look and feel good, we have to work hard as well. Maybe we don't have to do as much, but we still have to work at it. And I don't know why people say that.
I spoke with an esthetician one time, and she was telling me that the reason that men's faces don't age as much as women's faces do is because we shave and we're exfoliating our face, and that helps keep a more youthful look. Whether or not that's true, I do not know, but I thought, wow, that's an amazing concept. I should shave my entire face then.
Yeah, right. I have heard that research before. I don't know if it's true either, but I don't know. I just feel like I do things to keep myself, I do additional things that people may not find natural. I dye my beard. I don't like the gray beard. Makes me look like I don't have a beard. It's not a full beard. It doesn't match my hair. And so I like to keep it dark. And, and that's another thing that men don't talk about in terms of dyeing their hair. Women talk about it. And actually, women are expected, if there's gray, to dye their hair, where men are expected to go naturally gray.
That's true. It's the whole power of youth. I mean, everybody wants to look younger and feel sexy and be wanted and desired. And in our society, that's always attributed to a younger person. And if there's something that makes us look older, whether it be gray hair, wrinkles, no hair, we definitely look older and are perceived as less desirable. When we replace somebody's hair, when it's a substantial transformation from very little hair to a fair amount of hair, typically it's going to make a difference of about 10 years perceived age difference. In severe cases, it can be as much as 20 years perceived difference.
That is something I hear all the time. And I really don't care about looking my age, but people will tell me, oh my God, I had no idea you were in your 50s. You're 57, you look 47. And the hair does that. I guess that it represents youth.
Well, you're a sexy guy to begin with, Joe. I don't know what more to say about that.
Let me ask you, Scott, thank you. What would you say to somebody listening who's interested in a hair system but afraid of the stigma or how people might respond?
I can try and persuade somebody to do something that they already want to do, but in the end, it's entirely up to them. I can share with you this. The majority of the time, actually, let me share this story. This is a good story. So I had a gentleman call up and wanting to replace his hair for the first time. And I could tell based on his voice that he was an elderly man. And I, as diplomatically as possible, asked him why he would want to do it now at this stage in his life. And his response was that he had always wanted to do it, but his wife wouldn't let him, and that she had passed. So now he could do it.
Wow. That's powerful that she played that much of a role and that he gave her that much power, I guess.
Exactly. That he gave her that much power.
I know this may sound so extreme, but maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm not a gender specialist or sociologist, but it does feel like misandry. We know the word for the hatred of women, misogyny, but there's also a word for the hatred of men, and that's misandry. And so the idea that masculinity has to look a certain way, and if it doesn't, you're thrown out of the fraternity, you're thrown out of the culture, is just ridiculous. And I really hope people listening to this can hear that my whole job and my whole goal is getting people, I challenge assumptions. And if you want to come after me about something, I'm going to use it to educate people. I am not ashamed of my body. I'm not ashamed of my hair. I'm not ashamed of anything about me that people want to attack. I'd rather us use it as an opportunity to have a dialogue and wonder about people who want to make these shaming and attacking things. What does it say about you? What does it say about our culture? What does it say about how we treat men? we always think men are privileged, and we are in many ways, but we're not in these ways. Would you add anything to that, Scott?
I would add this. If you look in history, as far as the leading role, as far as the male perspective in a lot of the movies, years ago, the leading man was strong. He was confident. He rode a horse. He played baseball. He did cool things. He was an astronaut. But now you look at the male leading roles, and they're much less powerful. Matter of fact, in many, many cases, the leading male role is portrayed as a bumbling buffoon. And so the perception of man, at least in Western culture, has really diminished, and it's unfortunate. And as you are mentioning in your podcasts and other venues, is that it's not fair. It's not. We are being shamed, and we're being pigeonholed into being something that we can't be proud of.
Yeah,
and it's. I hope that changes, and I thank you for doing what you do in helping that happen, because I do believe that your efforts will help to change society.
Thank you. And yours, Scott. I'm so grateful to you and your father. SharePoint, to me, was the best place to go. It still is 30 years later. We're going to put pictures up of what I looked like the first time I took a picture at 27, and we're going to put a picture up of what I now look like at 57, and still wearing hair. How can people find you, Scott?
Thank you for saying that, Joe. That's very kind of you. So SharePoint, and I'm sure you're reaching all over the world. SharePoint's located in Birmingham, Michigan. We're located on 14 Mile Road, 2 blocks east of Woodward. We can be reached at shearpoint.com. Let me spell it out. It's SHEARPOINTE.com. Once again, SHEARPOINTE.com. And then they can find out some of our options and reach out to us from there.
Thank you so much, Scott, for being my guest and helping me personally come out and be able to tell people and men where to find and how to find good hair systems. If you enjoyed this show, I hope you continue listening. If you're a new listener, if you've been listening to my show, I hope that you enjoyed this one as well. And if you want to find me on other platforms, I'm now on TikTok, I do Twitter, and I'm on Instagram, and it's at Dr. Joe Kort, DrJoeKort. Everyone stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Smart Sex, Smart Love. I'm Dr. Joe Kort, and you can find me on joekort.com. That's JoeKort.com. See you next time.